octopus, and all that comes in the fish family, you'd want to stay on for this program. There is the Deputy Minister for that sector, the Honorable Moses Anim, at the table with us, MP of Trobu constituency, and he will tell us all about it. Honorable, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. So, Fish Festival, I love seafood. Is it a place where lots of fish will be brought and everybody will just come and buy it, like at the London beach site?
Yes, it's part of it.
Okay.
But the key objective is to inform people about fish. Globally, information on fish are been scanty, and fish play very critical role in global economy, regional economy, and national economy. For instance, in Ghana last year, our total production was around 629,000 metric tons. That culminated into a 1.04% of the national GDP. In fact, for agri GDP, it was about 20.9%. And 60% of our protein intake comes from fish. Okay? And our annual consumption, capital consumption, is about 25 kilograms. So fish is critical for providing livelihood, providing job, providing revenue, and also keeping family together. So we thought that for a commemorative day, a global commemorative day of the Fisheries Day, we should do fish festival and also showcase and exhibit fish products, exhibit fish and aquaculture, fisheries and aquaculture inputs, and also have some seminar debates, and then also some panel discussion on the challenges that we're facing. You know, the SDG 1 talks about eradicating poverty, hunger, good health, and all. And SDG saw the need that fishery is very critical. So when you go to the 14, it talks about life under the ocean or life underwater. So there hasn't been too much sustainable management of the fishery resources, culminating into a depletion of our stocks. And therefore we need to talk about it. We need to educate people about it. We need to get industry players about it so that together we can apply our fisheries laws and regulations and then manage the ecosystem sector the way the Lord God created it, and for it to be very sustainable for posterity to come to face it. It is said that generations will be very critical of the preceding ones, and therefore we need to leave a very good environment, fisheries environment for generation, and we need to talk about it. So the Fish Festival is supposed to do all this whilst we top it up at the Farmers' Day as well. And because it's a commemorative day which happens 21st November every year, we want to do Fish Festival. It started 2015. The International Commemorative Day itself started 2015. And we've done 2 previous ones. And then this year we want nationally, we want to organize it 24th, 25th at the Blaster Square, Independence Square, where we're inviting everybody. Our fleet, you know, we have the canoe fleet, and therefore the Ghana Canoe Fishermen Council are playing key role. Our Ghana Tuna Association are playing key role. Our Ghana Industrial Association playing very key role. Our CSOs, FAO, and then the value chain, along the value chain, everybody is coming to play a role. But we are inviting every Ghanaian to be there. Fish will be there for sale and at a reduced cost. So come and buy fresh fish. Come and buy value-added fish. Come and look at how Ghana, we have various products along the value chain, a lot. And we also want to showcase aquaculture. You know, because there's depletion of stock, aquaculture has been the most viable alternative to add on onto production. As we speak, our national demand is about 1.2 million metric tons. And that's why we're importing some more than $200 million of fish. We need to scale up our production so we can save the CD as well. You know, we change CD into dollars to do these importations.
I'm glad you're talking about depletion.
So the depletion is really a challenge. There will be a panel discussion on sustainability, and also a panel discussion or a demonstration or exhibition of how we want to use the dispensers for the premix. There's going to be an automation of the premix where we'll have good dispensers at all the landing beaches.
So there are a number of issues that farming or fishing communities have continued to raise when it comes to challenges that they face in doing their work. I wonder which of these will be occupying the thoughts of persons at this festival, because we are talking about, first of all, premix fuel, access to premix fuel challenges, and concerns that some farmers raise from time to time that they do not get ready access, even though the distribution channels have been laid by the government side. We are talking about unhealthy fishing practices that some of these players, these players in the industry also do. So closed fishing season when some people are not supposed to fish and then others are allowed to. How are these conversations at the festival going to add to the solutions that these fisher folk face on the seas?
Yes, out of the panel discussions, solutions will be churned out, but also to say that already we're getting things done and we're getting good responses and collaboration from our stakeholders. The IUU fishing, the illegal and unreported and unregulated fishing, which involves a whole lot of bad ways of fishing, is at the front burner. As we speak, we want to ensure that the fisheries laws are met. We've engaged a lot of the stakeholders. In fact, as I speak to you, we had a whole meeting with the entire fisheries canoe fishery folks. A whole meeting with them. We discussed a lot about these issues, and you could see the light fishing. A lot of them are against it, and they are against the use of the dynamite and then the DDT, which of course leads to health situations. And we keep telling them, you want someone to buy your fish regularly, you will be going regularly. So when you bring your fish and it is detrimental to the healthy condition of your buyer or your customer, the next time you bring the fish, the customer will not be there to buy, because it's in a healthy health situation, which is a bad situation for the person, and they are getting the understanding. The premix, yes, is as a result of the subsidy. You know, every commodity that is heavily subsidized faces these challenges of hoarding and creating artificial shortage and then selling it out at an exorbitant price. And that is why we want to go automation, where there will be dispensers, and the automation is you have your card. We've done the canoe frame survey. We know the number of canoes that are on the sea, and therefore you have a card with a barcode sensor. So we'll place your volumes on it based on your effort. And then you go with your card, slotted in, and the amount that you want to take out is taken out and recorded. The minister will be at the office as a center that can manage and control it. So at the end of the day, if you don't have the card, you have access to the premise. For what we are doing now, the premise goes to a landing beach. In fact, even the dispensing system in there is even hazardous. It is not good practice at all.
I'm hearing that fishermen have to get a card, and I'm thinking immediately about the challenges that could present, especially with the lessons we are hopefully learning from the Ghana card registration process and the acquisition of other cards in the country. Do we anticipate that this will cause any delay, or the implementation of the automation of the premix fuel distribution would cause any hitches at all along the value chain for fishermen?
No, I wouldn't. You know, there's no technology that is that is perfect. But the system that we've put in place, that's why we want to do the demonstration at the fish festival. The service provider will be there to do the presentation. We have seen the presentation, and I can assure you that the canoe frame survey that we've done, as a result of that, we are putting a moratorium on new entry of new canoes. Okay, because if you don't do that, what happens is that at any time at all, you have additional canoe coming in. So we've given a 3-year moratorium that there shouldn't be any new entry of canoe. If you have 5 canoe, that is it. If any of them get wrecked and you want to replace them, we've put in a process where you have to go through, where the same size will build the same size.
Will be
and
commissioned
then
for you.
Commissioned for you, and then you enter through. So by 3 years' time that we're talking about, now we have about 14,200 canoes that we have, and the cards have been issued out. So we are saying that those
so every
cars,
canoe has a different
they're
card.
going to have your own card with
so
your
if a fisherman
number
has 10
and
canoes,
everything.
then he has 10 cards.
That's right.
To operate for each.
You operate based on your effort, because there's a scientific way of determining your effort which has been done. And at the end of the day, it's going really to make the premix available, and then at the cost that we want it to be. As a matter of fact, had it not been the subsidy, I think we wouldn't have been talking about premix shortage at all, because it is subsidized. People have taken advantage, and the same fisher folks, because Moses Anim, I don't distribute premix, I don't sell premix. The vice president doesn't, the president does it, the minister doesn't. It is the same fisher folks who does that. So when the same people dealing with each other now uses it as a means to enrich themselves.
Right.
But we are really curtailing, and we are finding solutions.
Let's talk a bit about the deficit when it comes to our fishing needs as a country, or our fish needs as a country. We are talking about providing about, as you've told us, 629,000 metric tons of fish to the Ghanaian public, as against a demand of 1.2 million. So there's obviously a shortage there, and we are relying on imports to fix that gap. With government's plan to restrict importation on certain critical items like rice, oil, and whatnot, is there an idea of that sort for fish as well? And I want to highlight the importance of grooming freshwater farmers, and what the plans for the ministry are to support persons in the freshwater business, catfish, tilapia, and whatnot, all in that mix.
Aquaculture is the strategy, both inland and then offland. We are not too good, or we've not started anything about mariculture, where you use the ocean space, where the ocean is very calm, and you can use it to also do mariculture. But our freshwater, that is why we are also talking about the pollution of our freshwaters. For now, if you look at some of the freshwaters, it becomes very difficult to put in fish. So we're talking about aquaculture, not on the freshwater as we speak, though we have a huge space for the Volta Lake. For the Volta Lake, there's a lot of aquaculture going in, but we are still encouraging more. That's why we've rolled out what we call the aquaculture for food and jobs, where we support the youth groups, we support schools and institutions, the prisons. We support them by getting them the holding tanks.
Like a fish pond.
Like a fish pond. It could be the tarpaulin type, it could be the concrete type. We also support them with fingerlings. And one key thing that we're doing now is to develop our fisheries infrastructure, which includes hatcheries, where you can produce more viable fingerlings, so you can give them out. Okay, because when you provide more viable fingerlings, very healthy, with the biosecurity outlay, you will definitely have a higher percentage turnout in terms of productivity. And so we are encouraging the youth and everybody in doing so that we can use aquaculture as a means to augment the deficit, whilst we also working on the stock, the marine stock. Either to the marine stock, the marine provided 80% of our production. Now it has dwindled to close to 50%. Okay, so and that's why we sensitizing and educating the practice of sustainable management of the fishery resources. And whilst we're doing that, including close season is not the only panacea. It's a multifaceted approach to be able to holistically restock the marine resources. Whilst we're doing that, which definitely will be a medium term, because climate change itself has a role. Then the human activity has broken the ecosystem to the extent that mending the ecosystem will not be a 2-3 day, 1 year, 2 years affair. So what that to also grow the stock at the marine sector, aquaculture becomes the alternative, and we are really doing that. Government is giving out feed for such groups, dug the pond for them, and also provide extension services.
I'll be asking you to share some contact details, because some persons may be interested in some of these opportunities. So if we could get some contact details, if someone wants to benefit from some of these government-sponsored programs, who do they speak to? Where do they go?
We have regional offices and zonal offices. Okay, just walk to any of the zonal office or regional office, and then you will be heard.
A regional office of the Ministry of Fisheries.
Of the Ministry of Fisheries,
okay.
Or in the region, and then we have zonal offices as well. And the zonal offices are in the municipalities. The municipalities. You just walk in there, and then you will be heard as much as. And we want to develop the interest and the appetite for every Ghanaian. The catfish that you mentioned, one key thing that we want Ghanaians to have is to have the taste for the fresh catfish, okay, as the Nigerians have. And the catfish is not difficult to culture, okay, or to use the word to rear. Okay, you can do it in your backyard in a small holding plastic tank. You can put in 30-20 fingerlings in there, and then before you say, Jack, you have catfish. And even if it is not for commercial, at least like we've done before, Operation Feed Yourself before.
You can use it.
Yes. And once you are consuming your own, okay, you are producing at your backyard, and everybody is producing at the backyard. We wouldn't go looking for more demand and then bringing in importations and all that.
So the Fish Festival will bring some of these experts to explain to people, for example, how they can start their own backyard, freshwater fish farming or fish farm at home.
Yes, there's a whole section for aquaculture.
Okay.
We have the fleet. We have the marine fleet, and then we have the inland, which includes the aquaculture. So we have a whole section for aquaculture, and it's going to be aquaculture all throughout, from the beginner then to the larger scale. And there's companies who are also into aquaculture, big companies, A&B and Co are all there. They are all going to come over to also share experience and how they're going about the aquaculture to encourage and motivate others who want to do it. And like I said, you can easily get catfish at your backyard. Easily. You don't need to toil. You don't need to hustle in getting catfish done at your backyard. I will visit you one of these days and see whether you've done it. I will give you
just 3 months. There's a fish pond at GBC. We'll be very interested in doing that.
You have to. If you need us to give you the expert, we'll get Mr. Oyi, who is the director responsible for aquaculture, to visit. Okay? To visit, look at your pond, and engage you. So you can
right at the entrance to the studio. So it will be fascinating to have a program like that. So at this festival, are fishermen going to be awarded? Does that mean that on Farmers' Day, which is December 2, we're not going to see an award ceremony for the fisheries sector on the day?
No, the award will be done at the Farmers' Day. Farmers' Day is statutory. Farmers' Day is statutory.
And this year we're
There's
going to
an
Kofodia.
act, and we're going to Kofodia. And that is where the law is saying we should give our hard-working fisher folks. Okay, this festival is to showcase, exhibit fish and the essence of fish, so that when a fish land on your table, you salute and give respect to fish. 10% of our population along the fish value chain are employed. This figure I'm talking about is a decade figure. That is, so if we are 30 million today, 3 million. And just visit a landing beach, let's say Thelma Fishing Harbor, and you will have respect for fish. The number of women engage in fish, livelihood from fish, you cannot imagine.
So have the vendors already been picked?
Fish at all.
Have the vendors already been picked? Have those people who are going to display and fish products and all these implements, have they already been selected?
They've registered in their numbers.
What numbers are we looking at? It's Independence Square, so it has the capacity to house a lot of people.
I wouldn't be able to channel the number, but in large, they are coming largely. And because all the fleets are involved, like I mentioned, all the associations are involved, they are coming in their numbers, and it will be huge. Don't take yourself out. No one should take himself out.
The Deputy Minister promising that there will be fish in abundance for you to buy at very reasonable prices, similar to what the Ministry of Agric is doing with some of these plantains and yams and whatnot. So a fish festival coming up on the 24th and 25th of November at the Independence Square. Honorable Minister, so this your cloth, this your fish cloth. Yeah. Will we get some to buy to other?
You can get.
Where did they come from? What's the idea here? Because you are Fisheries Ministry.
Yes,
you wear fish cloth.
We wear it, and fish. Okay, we see worldwide we're not reporting on fish, but fish is critical, and it is not by accident that the SDG has to capture a section, a whole 14 for life underwater. And when you talk about the first one, which is eliminate hunger, eliminate poverty, then the second one, hunger, and then the healthy condition. You cannot have a healthy condition without nutritious fish, food. Is that not? And fish is so nutritious. The folic acid in there, the oil alone, is very healthy. And fish is nutritious. And you know, when you go around the whole country, every village that you go, it is not all village that you can see meat, but every village in this country, you see fish. If not at all, you see. If not at all, or Kobe.
The Honorable Moses Anim is the MP for Trobu. Massive road construction works going on currently in his constituency on that Pokwasi stretch heading to Amasaman area. So perhaps we'll have you back to talk about some of the peculiar issues for your constituency. And he's also the Deputy Minister for Fisheries, and he's here to invite all of us to a fish festival happening on the 24th and 25th of November at the Independence Square. That's this Thursday and Friday at the Independence Square, where fish and fish products and implements and everything concerning farming will be showcased at an exhibition and a festival to promote the fisheries sector, to make people aware of the opportunities existing in the fisheries sector. And if you have an interest in setting up something around that sector, then you would have the help and the advice which would help you to set it up, also helping to create employment and help us to meet our deficit when it comes to demand for fish. Honorable Minister, thank you once again for making the time.
Yeah, let me thank the following people. With all humility, a quick one. FAO, let me thank FAO. Let me also thank our fleet, and then the CSO, GFRA, let's thank them. And me Blombe Amokatanava Fish Festival, me kuku them, akpanya blogger me alala. Mi vane mi ho akpa lashi. Ne mi ana akpa penchi do na onyonemi. Mo fia mo aba, ija ke no no ba fie. On fe lo hesani. In show me no chumo. ani wo fen wo ba kweko ni wo kase ni wo fe akwakọ cha ho eni ya sokwo abe eni wiese na eni ebo be ni nju ate eni anso on be kasengu a ebe baale na o ni mo adwo nye fen obi amra fish festival 24th 25th ewo Independence Square erika nam ho asem obi a eye fish ho asem obi amra no besua akwakọ cha na watimi aye bi nso owufi na me nhira ye nyina oman Ghana ho donti.
Thank you, Honorable Moses Anim, inviting you to the Fish Festival, 24th and 25th November 2022. Next, we'll be having a conversation on the finance minister, and his name keeps coming up again and again. On Friday, he provided testimony before that ad hoc committee. Will try and find out what we should make from that interview and his apology to Ghanaians for the